Okay, time is running out, but I suppose I just have one last question, perhaps just a short one.
Between all the movies that you have done, MIRRORMASK, Stardust and all, which one have you had most creative control over, and which one came out most looking like you imagined?
Oh, actually, the only movie so far that I can actually say I really had creative control over and that came out looking like I imagined and that I was absolutely happy with has not yet been screened. And it's about 8.5 minutes long, and I directed it. And it's a silent movie. And I made it about 3 months ago in London, and it's called Statuesque, and it stars Bill Nighy, wonderful English actor who you may remember as Slarty Bartfast in the Hitchhiker's Guide movie, or you may remember as having a face filled with wiggling squid as Davy Jones, thank you, in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Or you may remember from as a foul-mouthed rock star in Love Actually. And Bill Nighy. And I found a incredibly talented but relatively unknown as an actress performer named Amanda Palmer, who is an American rock singer, who has a background as before she was a rock star, she was a human statue. And it's a story about a man who falls in love with a human statue. And a different human statue falls in love with him. And what happens the night that he gets followed home by a human statue. And so and it was the first time I've ever actually felt, okay, I had complete control. This is the thing in my head. I'm making it. Nobody else gets to tell me what it's like. Look, I'm even editing it exactly like I want. This is my thing. And it was glorious. It was absolutely wonderful. And in some ways it spoiled me. But in some ways it also confirmed me in my belief that really, if I'm making movies, there are two things I can do. I can either go, if I want a film of the Graveyard Book, I can either do what I did, which is say, I love Neil Jordan's work, I'd like Neil Jordan to do it. Not because his name is Neil, but obviously that was a factor. But because I loved his films Company of Wolves, The Crying Game, there was something in them, and I thought, this would be really good translated into that thing. So either you find somebody, or with Henry Selick, just give him Coraline, let him get on with it. Matthew Vaughn with Stardust. Or you do it yourself. But if you're going to give it away, you have to be willing to give it away. People say, what do you think of Stardust? And there are two answers, and they're both completely correct for me. One of which is, look, I love the Stardust movie. I think it's a great film. I think it's an absolute wonderful, rollicking thing. And I can absolutely see how it was inspired by my book, and I love those scenes that are the same. But I can also absolutely imagine 20 years from now, a different director reading my book and looking at the film and going, that was completely... I'm going to make a film and that's my Stardust, and making an absolutely different film. Not even saying necessarily a more faithful film, just this would be somebody else's Stardust. And I'm really happy with that. Particularly
and you will love it just the same?
Say again?
And you will love it just the same?
If I think it's good. I mean, there have been adaptations of my stuff that I really haven't loved. And there have been adaptations. A lot of theatre is very variable. Sometimes I've seen theatre adaptations of some of my stories that I've gone, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I've seen theatre adaptations where after seeing it, I've quietly phoned my agent and said, if they want permission to do this anymore or take this production anywhere, just say no. That was bad. With films, I can absolutely imagine a world with Beowulf, for example, where Roger Avery would say, okay, I'm going to go and make my own version of the original script that Neil and I wrote for Beowulf, and I'm going to make it low budget, and it's going to feel like an old Terry Gilliam film, and it's going to be people covered in shit, and it's going to be a 16-year-old Beowulf like he was in our script, so you can really understand why he thinks all of these people are sexy and horny, and why he's absolutely out for power, and why he's getting drunk, and then really have an 80-year-old version of him at the end who regrets the things that the 16-year-old version of him did, and which were things that sort of vanished in the Ray Winstone "I will kill your monster" version. Which is not to say that the "I will kill your monster" version doesn't have power and doesn't have some really cool things, and doesn't, has a 10-minute dragon fight at the end, which we never wrote in the original because we knew we wouldn't have the budget. So we just had a very talky sort of thing that finished quite quickly. But it would be really fun. A world in which Roger one day could go back and make that would make me very happy. I'd love to see that film. Does that answer your question, sort of?
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, that's all the time we have.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Neil.
Oh, thank you all so much, and thank you for all your hospitality, and for the Singaporean welcome. And I'm sure I will see all of you, or most of you, in the signing line. Let me just say one thing. As you may look around, there are over 900 of you here. We are really trying to create a world in which absolutely everybody gets something signed. In order to do that, we have to create a world in which everybody gets something signed. You may not think it makes much difference whether I sign one thing or the 5 things that you have brought for your friends. It actually makes the difference between whether or not the last 400 people get their things signed or not. So grit your teeth and try and pick the favourite thing. It's not fair, but there are a lot of you and there is only one of me, and my plane leaves at 3:30 in the morning and I have to make it. So, and I also really want to go and see Amanda play at Stereolab tonight. So that is the plan. It's, again, not fair. It would be lovely if everybody could have everything they want signed. It's not going to happen. Pick the one thing you love. Thank you.
Thank you.